and welcome back to a new video from me. Hi guys, I hope you are doing well. Today we have an eyeshadow palette tag. I love talking about eyeshadow palettes. So when I saw this tag popping up in my feed, I was like, I have to do that because it's so much fun. So today I'm going to be doing the eyeshadow palette 2 tag that was created by Samantha March and Ali Glines. I will have both of their channels linked down below. We're going to be talking all about my favorite palette, the palette I think is underrated, so many things. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, the first question, we're starting out with a bang, is my all-time favorite eyeshadow palette. If you are new to my channel, you may not know this, but if you are not, this won't surprise you because I talk about this palette all the time. It's one of my absolute favorites, and it is the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. This palette kind of took me by surprise. I was not expecting to like this palette as much as I do. I am obsessed with this. I think it is like hands down my favorite palette in my collection. The reason I love it so much is just because it's so just like special. I feel like there's just something unique about this palette to where every single time I use it, I am obsessed with the look that I come up with. I just think that the tones in here are beautiful. You have a different array of colors. There's blues, there's purples, there's like muted shades. You can do a smoky eye with this palette. Like there's so much. The silver in here is beautiful. There's so much you can do with this eyeshadow palette. I absolutely love the packaging too. I kind of miss that she does these like eyes. I know people hated it because it was like her eyes, but I loved these packaging. So I kind of miss that she doesn't do this anymore, but I love this palette, and it often goes on sale. I saw it on sale for like 30 bucks recently, so if it's still on sale, I'll link it. I'll link all of the palettes, but check it out if you do not have this one. Highly recommend. Question number 2 is a new favorite, and for me it's the It's a Mood palette from ColourPop. As soon as I got this from ColourPop, I have like not been able to put it down. I think it is such a good eyeshadow palette. Again, I think it's for the variety. I feel like you get a lot of colors in here, so a lot to choose from. I love ColourPop's formula. If you are new to my channel, that's no surprise to you, but I really enjoy their formula. So having a palette like this that has a ton of different color options is really great. I love all of these like jewel tones that they put in here. I love blues, so I often kind of gravitate towards blues in palettes, but I love blues, but they have some really unique shades in here too. Like this one right here is like a duochrome shift shade. It's so pretty. And then you have, again, those like matte oranges, the browns if you want to do a smoky eye. This yellow color right here reminds me a lot of the shade Coin from the Jaclyn Hill Vault that I love so much, so that one's really pretty. You do have a few pressed glitters in here, which aren't my favorite, but take those out, and this is like my absolute favorite palette that I have tried recently. It's really good. I do feel like this was one of their best releases from the year. I just love this one. Next, I have one that I keep for the memories, and I feel like this is going to be a lot of people's like maybe answer to this, but it's Modern Renaissance. So this palette, I feel like just has a lot of really good memories tied to it. Mine looks used. I use this a lot, so it's definitely got a lot going on. There's a pan in there, which doesn't happen often for me, but this was the palette I took with me on my honeymoon, and I just vividly remember like using this every single night. It's the only palette I took there back when I wasn't like as, you know, crazy about makeup. I didn't have as much makeup, so I only brought a few things with me, and this is one that just has good memories, just like putting this on every night. We did like a sandals resort. We went to St. Lucia, and I just remember like getting dressed up for dinner every night and like putting this palette on, and it just has really good memories tied to it. I also feel like this is the palette that kind of like skyrocketed, I feel like, the beauty space, and I remember getting this and being so excited that I got it because it's like an expensive ABH palette, and you know, everyone wanted to be on ABH PR, and I remember just like trying to do looks with this, trying to get their attention. It was just like a good time, I feel like, in makeup in general, so this palette always just has really good memories for me. And then we have underrated, and I kind of went through my collection. There's quite a few I could have chose for this question, but the one that I actually chose is from Morphe. Now, I feel like not a lot of people, you know, love Morphe nowadays. I feel like they get a lot of like, you know, a bad name, which rightfully so. They've done some sketchy stuff, but this palette is very underrated. It's a really beautiful palette. Every time I reach into this, I'm just like obsessed with the looks that I come up with. This is the 35XO palette, and it is so pretty. I love pink, so if you like a pink look, or you're someone who likes a little bit more of like flirty girly looks, this is a palette for you. Like look at all the colors in here. The possibilities are like endless when it comes to the looks you can create with this. My dog just started barking. It's so loud. I'm hoping he didn't wake up my kids that are sleeping. Oh my goodness. But I was gonna say, so many different varieties of pink in here, and also a lot of depth to it with these purples, with the darker mattes. Like I feel like you can get a lot with this palette, and it's just perfect. I think especially for bridal, if you're someone who does like bridal makeup, this would be the perfect bridal palette because I feel like it has a lot of like those warm neutrals that we love, but also those hints of pink. I think this one is super underrated. I think it's a really great palette. I will link it if I can find it down below for you. Next we have not a favorite, but I can't get rid of it. So that kind of, the modern renaissance I could have chose for that one too, but I chose my Urban Decay Naked 2 palette. And this one is just old. It's very old and it's well used. I used a lot of it and it's really busted and you know, it's not the best looking, but again, I just have really great memories with this one. It's not a favorite by any means, especially now as my collection has grown. I feel like the Naked palettes for me aren't just like my absolute favorite formula, but this just holds so many great memories. It's actually my first eyeshadow palette that I purchased that was like high end. I spent my $50 on this and I was just like, I wanted to return it as soon as I did it. It was like instant regret. And then I actually started looking up YouTube videos and it's actually how I began, you know, this career. I looked up YouTube videos and I found like Lester Lux, Katie's videos, and I started following her tutorials. Then I found like Desi and Jackie and all these people, and I started actually, you know, getting into makeup more, and then I started my own channel. So this just has a lot of special memories to me, and although it isn't like my favorite palette in my collection by any means or my favorite formula anymore, I feel like it just has really, really great memories, and it's really fun because I got to do it this last year. I got to do a collaboration with Urban Decay, so I worked on their new Vice lipstick collection launch, and it was just really kind of like full circle for me because again, that was like my first like high-end brand purchase, and just like I remember going into Sephora and looking at Urban Decay and be like, oh my gosh, this stuff is so expensive, but to be able to work with them now has just been really cool. Okay, and then speaking of Desi and Katie, my favorite collab palette would be the Dose of Colors, what was this called? Friendcation palette. I really like this one, and what's funny is I almost didn't get this, and I didn't get it initially. Now I love Desi and Katie, but this palette was pretty pricey. I want to say it was like $63 maybe. I know it was like in the $60 range, and I was like, that was kind of expensive, like I don't know if I need it. And then I saw some reviews coming out, and the reviews were kind of mixed at first. Like I know people were saying they had like eye reactions and stuff, but then I started to see more tutorials and like looks that people were doing, and the looks just looked so beautiful, and I was like, I think I need that palette, and I was right. Mine is broken, which is very sad. I need to just like take this color out so it doesn't ruin the rest of the palette, but this is such a good collab. I feel like I can't really hold it up properly, but I love the colors in here. What's nice about this is it's very user-friendly. So I was saying that a lot of people like weren't in love with this palette, but if you are like newer to makeup, this was a good one to start with, just because I feel like the mattes in there were really easy to blend. They had these shimmers in here that are just like toppers, like they just kind of sparkle on the eye. You could mix them to make really cool looks. There was like a green in here that's really fun. There's a blue, like a lot of variety. I feel like for the palette, I love the packaging too. This whole collection had really fun packaging, and I just loved Desi and Katie. This was definitely one of my favorite collab like palettes that I own. Can't get it anymore, so I hold on to it, and I use it from time to time, but I haven't used it since I broke that shade, so I do need to just like take that out of there or repress it so I can get more use out of that palette again. And then a 2021 favorite. I cannot find this palette for the life of me, and it's actually kind of frustrating me that I can't find it because it's one of my favorite palettes, and I'm like, where the heck did I put it? But it is the new Rose Quartz palette from Huda Beauty. I literally looked for it for like 10 minutes. I couldn't find it. My schedule now with filming is filming while my kids nap, so I was like, I can't keep looking for this palette. Like I need to film this video before they wake up, so I'll just put a picture of it up on the screen. I'm sure you guys have seen this palette, but this is such a good one. This one kind of took me by surprise again. I like Huda Beauty and I love her palettes, but this one I was like, I didn't expect to like it as much as I do. It's definitely been one of my favorite palettes from the year by far. I feel like it's a really nice, easy again palette that I feel like anyone would be able to use. It's user friendly. The colors in it are so special. It has like these topper shades that just again like sparkle all over the lid. They look beautiful. I'm not a fan of like that little cream shadow in there, that little like moldy looking one, but aside from that, everything else in the palette is absolutely beautiful. I think the color story is pretty. The packaging is so beautiful as well. I think she did a really, really good job with that launch, and I can't wait to see what she does next year because I've so far liked all of her larger palettes that she's been coming out with lately. And then we have one that I didn't expect to love, and I chose the Natasha Denona Glam palette. Now this one could have been like my favorite palette because I was going back and forth, and I thought about putting it in my favorite palette spot, but I was like, no, like it's not your absolute favorite, but it is very, very high up there in my favorite palettes. I love this one. I feel like every single time I reach into this, I am just like loving my eye look, and I also get a lot of compliments when I wear this eyeshadow palette as well. I feel like cool tones are very flattering on a lot of people, so I feel like when I wear cool tones, everyone's like, what's on your eyes? What's on your eyes? And I just feel like it really makes my eyes pop. But what's nice about this is just so easy. I feel like no matter what I do, I can go into this palette. I know exactly what kind of look I want to create. Yes, all of my like colors and all of my looks kind of come out similar, but I do feel like like it's just an easy palette for me. Like if I know I'm going out and I like want just like a nice like smoky eye or light, you know, daytime look, I feel like I can grab this palette. And the shadows in there are just really pretty. And the reason I didn't expect to like this one as much is because I do have the Natasha Denona Lila palette. Now I like that palette. It's a nice palette, but that was $120 eyeshadow palette, and I just feel like it for me wasn't like justified of that price. And that was my first experience with Natasha Denona, so I was like, I don't know about that. And then I also purchased the Star palette, and I ended up returning that one back to Sephora because again, it just like wasn't awing me, and I think that was like a $50 palette. So I was like, I don't know. And then I got this one and I was like, let me try it. Everyone was talking about it. It looked like a good palette. It had cool tones, and I tried it and I just like love it. I haven't been able to stop using it since I got it. I use it all the time. It's definitely became a favorite in my collection. So I was surprised that I liked it as much as I did. I will say that I think if this was $120, I don't know if I'd like it as much. It is one of her smaller palettes, so it's $65. I still feel like it's pricey, but I don't know if for the $120 I would pay that for it, but for the $65 I think it's an amazing palette. I feel like there's quite a few of these answers that could have been like intertwined. So for me, I meant to choose this one for the palette that sparks joy, because I was telling you guys the reason why I love this is just because it kind of got my start in makeup. And then this was going to be my one that I couldn't get rid of, but I don't love the formula. So I feel like these two could kind of be interchangeable. So this was the palette that I was going to talk about because I don't love the formula in it, and I can't get rid of it because of the packaging. I just think the packaging is just so beautiful, and that's the reason it stays, honestly, is just because it's such pretty packaging. I feel like it looks so pretty in my beauty room. I love this like raised look. I love the little heart. It smells like chocolate, so I just like, I love the smell of it every time. So every declutter, this has just like made its way through, even knowing it is not a favorite formula of mine by any means. I feel like I don't use this hardly ever, but it keeps staying beyond every declutter just because it's the packaging. It's so cute. So I did kind of mix those two up, but like I said, they could kind of be interchangeable there with that question. And then we have newest palette in my collection, which is the Secret Admirer palette from ColourPop. I just got this one yesterday as I'm filming this, and this is the brand new ColourPop Valentine's Day collection. This was really cute. I did do a review on this if you want to check that out. They had some heart blushes in the collection, some lip products, and this little eyeshadow palette. I loved the look that I came up with. It was very Valentine's Day, very nice. I love ColourPop, so I always get excited for their launches, and I thought that this was a very cute, well done palette. I love the little heart-shaped pans in there too. So I was excited to get this in PR. I actually had my eye on it when I saw it on Trend Mood. I was planning to purchase if I didn't get it in PR, and I did. So yeah, very excited about this new launch. I can't wait to use it again. And then we had the first palette of 2022, and I was trying really hard to think of the very first palette that I tried. I was trying to look at my videos too, and I couldn't figure it out quite exactly, but I think it was this one. I'm pretty sure it was the Feeling Bubbly from ColourPop. Now this one came to me, and I didn't end up getting up a full review on this one just because I feel like by the time I got it, I just didn't have time to film with it, but it's a really cute palette. I have used it quite a few times. Again, ColourPop's palettes kind of can be a little bit repetitive, and I feel like if you have like the It's a Mood palette, you probably have some of these colors, but I actually really think that this one is actually really cute. I love the packaging on it, but I like the golds in here, and I also like the champagne tones. I love a good like champagne gold look, so this for me was one that I used actually quite a few times since I've got it, but I think this was my first palette. If not, I'm trying to remember like my next one. I couldn't think of any, honestly. It was probably a ColourPop release, so this is what I thought for my first palette. And then the next one is, I was thinking there was one more question because I have one more palette, but that was the last question, but I forgot to mention this. I'm so like scatterbrained today. I forgot to mention this in the underrated palette question, so I'll show it now. I feel like I grabbed the Morphe one because I remember that's what I pulled, but I also pulled this one because I was going to do a little bit of a double there. This is the Wonderlust Escape palette from Wonder Beauty. This is a good palette. Formula, amazing. This is definitely underrated for sure. I love the color story in here. I told you guys I love blues, I love champagnes, I love pinks. This has everything I love in one. The gold in here is really pretty. It has a mirror. The formula is so good. I feel like their formula is like super underrated. I don't think they come out with a lot of eyeshadow palettes, so I feel like that's not really what they're known for. I feel like they're more known for their complexion products, their under eye baggage claim, eye patches. But I do feel like they have something with their eyeshadow palettes. I do think they should come out with more of these, especially these longer ones. They have a few like six pan shadow palettes, but this is the first one I believe that they did that was larger, and I think they need to do another one because this was really nice, and the formula is great. I highly recommend checking this one out if you can find it. I did see it on Dermstore, so I will link it too, but it's a really great formula, very buttery, and the shimmers in there are very pigmented. But after that, you guys, that is it. I know this was a little bit jumbled, but hopefully you guys still enjoyed watching. Thank you to Samantha and Allie for creating this fun tag. Again, I'll link them both down below. I will see you all very soon with a brand new video. Bye-bye.